Hello, this is how I draw a dwarf. Some pretty basic line work here, finding where I want him to sit, how I want him to pose, and just the all-round composition of the piece. Nice and chill. Small details here and there are added, and then the block colours. They're basically just placeholders, giving a quick sense of what the final piece is going to look like. The eyes there, the hammer, all the good things. Here I'm picking out the shadows, pushing that depth a little further. A few highlights in there. It does look messy. Why not hit like? That is an awful mouth. Don't draw mouths like that. You can see here I'm picking out the edge highlights of the cushion, filling up a few of the gaps that didn't quite get filled when I did the first block work. Duplicating the feet so I didn't have to draw it more than once, and then just pushing the shadows all the way down to a true black. Highlight on his leg there. And then just picking out some more shadows, It's all about just pushing that depth. Anywhere that light wouldn't be hit, darken it down. Layering detail on detail. Here you can see I'm adding more to the bracelet, putting some holes in the leather, and then tying them up with a piece of string. No worries. Little cuff on his shirt, highlight, darken underneath the seat a bit more, no lights getting in there. The front plane of the armrest and the cushion, making them look a little flatter, a little less chaotic. Push the shadow on the legs, shadow of his cloak. Anywhere light would fall, doesn't necessarily have to look realistic. See, I'm just dropping another shadow and then the back part of his cloak's sleeve there. It says on the video that the fun starts here, but you've got to go through this horror show of a hand first, unfortunately. But again, just a place marker. And now we're going to go into the fun bit. You can see that the ear was marked where I wanted it to go. Now I'm just defining the actual finalized shape. Highlights on everything, shadows on everything, but never pushing it too far. Duplicate the ear there, flip it, erase it, flatten it off. That awful mouth. Disgusting. And then we go more to the mouths that I draw. I like to draw almost Simpsons-esque top lip. See, I'm putting the teeth in, back ones first, then a layer over the front. Probably should have put the tongue in before I put the teeth in, but hey ho. No big deal. There's a mustache. It's not going to be his final mustache. Again, just trying ideas. Trying to work out shapes now. Those horrible eyes. Again, I talk about placeholders, that they're just there so that I know I want to put the eye there. Try to fight with it as much as I can here, but eventually I just get rid of it, bring back the original line work, and put it back where it should have been in the first place. There. Just testing the colour there. I think that's the final colour I go with in his eyes. That was just a test, a placeholder, as I say. Put the bottom lid in and then a highlight across the top. Pushes that depth a bit further. A little bit more three-dimensional. And as it says, just polishing the face up. General noodling. Flatten off all the skin, make it look like one piece. You define that mustache at the top there. Giving male characters eyelashes. Should always do it. Always. You define his top lip. Darken it down. Just dropping in a gold tooth. Beer across the top lip. Here I'm picking out the highlights on the chair. And again, just pushing the shadows. Redefining the shape of that horrible helmet. Let's be fair, it was as a placeholder, and now it's a more finalized shape. Okay, the horn. Who wants to draw things twice? And fill the gaps, trying some more backgrounds just to make sure the colours are balanced. Good. And I'm going to push the hair a bit further. Still looks very flat, so need to create more depth. While I'm doing these things, I try to think where the light would hit. Most of the time it's top down, and then anywhere that just looks cool, you know? Doesn't have to be real, as long as it looks good. Probably could have pushed the shadow behind that beard a bit more. Oh, we live and we learn, don't we? Horrible hand, though. Yikes. Here we go. His hair's just a duplication of his beard. And then erase it so you can see his ear. A bit more colour in his nose. You know, he's going to be drinking all day in the taverns. He's going to have blood. Redefining the hand shape. You know, it wasn't too bad to start with. The shape was there. Just the colours and the tones. I'm going to put a bit more blood into his fingertips. Something I like to do in terms of stylization. Shadow between the fingers, nothing too much. And then I transplant those fingers onto his left hand. To be fair, as it says, it was quite a horror show. Then we're going to give him a proper drinking horn. Something more to a gentleman's standard. You know, there it is. Shadow behind him. And then add some beer. Draw out some circles. Highlight them in certain places. And then I'm going to duplicate that and move it just to make it look a little more, bit more deep. A bit more alive, dynamic. Dropping some highlights onto the mustache across the right of the screen there. And here I'm looking for places that I can add contrast. You know, light over dark always makes contrast. Happy with his face. I'm going to move down to his feet. Probably the least important part of the image, but I do love a good boot. You know, making sure his leg goes into the shoe. You don't just want a shoe floating in front of a leg. And then just pushing layer upon layer, you know. Picking up the highlights of each strip of leather. Again, lit from the top down, so the top plane is going to be the lightest. Stitches, beautiful work. Next one, and just duplicate it. Don't want to draw things twice. Make that right leg of his. It's comfortable. Join the foot. Gonna add some bolts. Make sure his chair doesn't fall over. And then here, a collar on his green, I don't know, cape. Push some shadows. Never really enjoyed drawing fabric, but it can be relaxing. A little bit more shadow to bring that arm forward. An edge highlight here, and then we're moving into the eyes. Darker at the top, lighter at the bottom, standard stuff. Few wrinkles around the eyes. I think here I'd toy with the idea of giving him a giant scar at some point. There it is. You know, nothing's predefined, nothing has to be set in stone. You can see I drew a scar, decided to get rid of it, just drew over it. Thinking of the idea about putting his name on his hat. Helmet? Hat? Whatever. Wanted him to lose it in the tavern. And put the shading under his nose a bit more. Think about the idea of putting wood grain onto the seat. Chose not to. Thought it would have maybe distracted from the actual character himself. Here you can see using the selection tool just to break the hammer into 3 separate chunks. And again, none of the original colours there are remaining. Every panel gets painted over. And a shadow from the little horn on the top down under his helmet. That's him. Casts light. Just a glow effect. Then obviously the light's going to bounce off his helmet. Hit the backside of the chair. Every plane that the light would bounce off gets a little bit of a treatment. Up his knee and up his arm. It's all good. Shadow under the hat. Shade under the seat. Sign it. Call it done. It's him. That's how I draw dwarves. Thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, and as always, be excellent.